Hi everybody. Those who are watching the recording, they will be able to hear me now, but the live people are not yet arrived. So I've launched this session 5 minutes early. The schedule is 9:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time and 2 p.m. AEST, Australian time. So I'm just waiting for Victoria to join. Yeah, welcome Jyotirmoy. Yeah, we are waiting for Victoria to join. The schedule of this session is at 9:30. So this initial 5 minutes we will be just doing the tech check. Welcome Dr. Kumar, Sravan, Rajneesh. Welcome to the session. Please stay tuned. Today's topic is very interesting topic, the immunity, the superstition. So yeah, I'm just waiting for. Hi Aditya, welcome to the session. I'm waiting for Victoria to join. Yeah, Victoria is here. So I'm just transferring the video, Victoria. Please accept it. Yeah, Victoria is accepting the video audio control. That's good. She is here.
Yay, we're here.
Yeah, Victoria. I can hear you loud and clear.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, which is afternoon for me.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi,
Good
Rajneesh.
afternoon.
Yeah, Patrick is here, Dinesh. So people are joining in, Victoria. So
Great.
I don't think we need to give a lot of introduction of ourselves because this is our fifth or
Fourth.
sixth live session.
Maybe fourth or fifth, yeah. People know who we are now.
Okay, yeah, fifth. Yeah, right. So I hope people are aware about our endeavor to spread the knowledge of natural healing and natural living.
Living, correct.
So and today's topic, Mr. Vijay Pawar is welcome, Vijay sir.
Welcome,
to the session.
Vijay. Welcome, Vijay.
Yeah. So yeah, Sam also has joined. So a lot of people are joining. So today's topic is immunity, the superstition. This must be a shocking title for most of you, that because in this civilized lifestyle, we are always seeking for immunity, and the moment we are calling immunity a superstition, that must be a shocking, right? So please type in your comment in the comment box,
Absolutely.
and as we progress, we'll take up the questions also.
Yes.
Right. So Parna also has joined. Great. So yeah, Victoria, over to you about immunity a bit.
Immunity. Yes, it's definitely a superstition. It's definitely a philosophy that has been sold to us to support a theory, maybe even, that's been sold to us to support the philosophy of the germ theory. And if we get sick in any way, shape or form, we're considered that our immunity is running low. And if we are healthy, if we're going about our business, then we have good immunity. So it's really a ludicrous philosophy, but it's funny because it's so strongly entrenched in the psyche of everyone. And like you said, it's ludicrous for us to sit here and say that immunity is a superstition. When we were having a chat yesterday, I said to you, people are going to think we've gone bonkers or crazy. We're lunatics.
So just to share with the people, when we were deciding about the topic of the next live session, we were discussing about how about going ahead with immunity, the superstition, as we understand scientifically.
Yes.
So that time, so last week we have, I and Victoria, we do have every week a regular call, maybe more than once we have weekly calls. So last week we could not have a call because Victoria was running fever.
Yes, I was running a
fever. Right. So I was cutting jokes. So Victoria, your immunity was low, right? At that point in time, you raised the fever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I must have had low immunity. I must have been walking past someone at the wrong time who sneezed on me, and I caught some bug off them because my immunity was running low. Must have been, but no. Really, fever is nothing to do with immunity, because we don't catch a fever, we raise a fever. And yes, About a week or so ago, I was in bed, feeling not great, running a good fever, and embracing it, reveling in the fact that here at the very nearly age of 48, I still have really good vitality, and I can quite easily raise a fever. I generally raise a fever at least a couple of times a year, and it's a wonderful, wonderful healing process. As Mr. Jaffrey did say in one of his books, there is no greater boon to suffering humanity than that of a properly managed fever. So
Yes.
we need people to understand that immunity and vitality are not interchangeable words. It's not like
Yes.
medicine Yes.
May I
Please.
share the definition of
Please, yep.
immunity as because you need to establish this at the beginning.
Yes,
Because immunity
indeed.
may be misinterpreted in many ways. Like people get confused that vitality and immunity are the same. If vitality
Yes.
is high, then immunity. So let's set the rule first. The
Yes.
definition.
Set some
Definition, as I
boundaries.
noted down this morning. Yes. Definition as I noted down this morning: the ability of an organism to fight an infection by the action of specific antibodies or sensitized white blood cell. So this is what is the immunity we are targeting, and we are saying that this is nothing but superstition, because infection itself is a superstition. Right, Victoria?
Well, absolutely, because their perception of an infection is that it's caused by germs. Germs have got out of control in the organism, and the body is fighting against it. And whether the body wins the fight or needs some help from our medical friends and their big pharmaceutical company friends really determines on whether if we have good immunity, the germs won't get out of control and our body will fight those germs and an infection won't take hold. This is not in any way, shape or form in congruence with the philosophy of nature cure. We don't identify with the concept of an infection. We identify with the concept of toxemia and a toxic encumbrance in the organism. And where we see a encumbrance of toxic waste material in the organism, of course we are going to see microbial activity. Of course we're going to see germs there. So if you had a sample taken by your doctor and they looked at it under a microscope, of course they're going to see a lot of activity there. But yes, we have to say, are the germs there causing the infection or the encumbrance, as we refer to it in nature cure, or are the germs there because the conditions are correct for them to be there? Because what are germs? They are nothing more than parasites, and they live off decaying waste material. That's their food. That's their environment. That's what they love. Right.
Any organism is obviously attracted by food.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like to use the example of take two rubbish bins, and one rubbish bin is perfectly clean, and the other rubbish bin you've thrown some, rotting food or whatever it happened to be. You are not going to get flies and maggots in the perfectly clean rubbish bin. You're going to get the flies and the maggots and all the other germs. They're all going to go to the bin that's got the decaying matter in it. And our bodies are precisely that. Our bodies either are clean, well circulating environments, or they're filthy sludge pits with poor circulation. That is the perfect environment for germs. And so this is what you need to decide for yourself. Do you believe the germs are the cause of the problem, or do you believe the germs are there because there is a problem there and they are secondary? And nature cure says absolutely that any germ infestation anywhere in the organism is absolutely secondary to the disease process. There is one cause of disease, and that's toxemia. Yes.
Yes, I get this question often that well, I'm toxemic. I get infested by the pathogens, and I'm having some infection. So I'm
Yes.
now aware that I have to take care of my toxemic state. So
Yes.
at that instant, if I fight with the so-called quote unquote fight with the infection, and I take care of my toxemic condition, will that be acceptable? Will that be acceptable? This is a crucial. So try and understand a situation where an individual is toxemic and infected. So toxemic first, then the effect is infected. So the individual is asking that at that point, whether it is good to go ahead with the kind of resisting the infection and taking care of the toxemia, both simultaneously.
Absolutely.
Is that a possibility?
A little bit of both, hedging their bets, as we would refer to it. Yes, well,
so
absolutely.
How do you answer that?
Absolutely not. How are you going to manage the infection? What is the perception
By antibiotics, maybe.
And what is that? That is suppression. So we've got to realize that disease is not our enemy. Disease is actually an effort of the body.
Absolutely.
An effort of the body to clean out. It's an effort of the body to repair. And you cannot be fighting what the body's trying to do if you want to get genuinely well. If you just want to make this discomfort go away right now and get back on with your busy lifestyle, then the medical industry have a lot of interesting things they can offer you. But that really is nothing more than suppression. You are not well just because the symptom has temporarily dissipated. And that's what you really got to understand. The only thing that's happened is the symptom has temporarily dissipated. And what you have taken to suppress the symptom, the antibiotics or whatever, are poison. And they only add to the toxemic state of the organism. So as Nature Cure will always say, we do not treat the symptom. We identify and remove the cause. We treat the organism as a whole. It doesn't matter what anybody comes to me for. I say, well, I'm not going to treat that. I'm going to treat you. We're going to work on the body as a whole. And that's how Nature Cure works. And that's why it works. And that's why it works every time.
So the points to take away from this point in discussion, that we need to understand, number one, that the kind of fighting, the understanding of fighting that we have is a clear-cut superstition, number one.
Absolutely.
Because
the body doesn't fight.
Disease is a process. Disease is a process, not to fight with.
No.
That understanding is very much important to take care of our wellness.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So this understanding of fighting, as I see the definition, the ability of an organism to fight an infection, is a kind of superstition as a whole.
Absolutely.
Because we do not need to fight with it and with anybody. We just need to support our body to do its work, do its own work.
Absolutely.
That's the disease process.
And
so last week,
Yes, and I was just going to say, I remember a conversation with Kevin Hinton where he said to me that, the medical industry goes to war on the organism. It identifies that something's attacking you from the outside, and whatever they're going to do, they're going to throw everything they can at what's going on in your body and to stop it from going on. And they literally go to war on your body, and nobody achieves health at all in that respect.
Right.
So
we need to understand that when the disease is an effective initiative by the body, anything which stops the disease by suppressing is a superstition, is something against. So what is the meaning of superstition? Superstition means that something which is not existing at all, but we are believing in that. So immunity as a whole is not a correct word to understand the health.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So people are joining in. I see a lot of people, Ahmed, Sanjay Misra, a lot of people are joining in between. So I request all of you to post their questions and comments also, so that we can take up after this discussion. We'll be taking up the questions also.
Yes,
please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing you've got to understand is whatever your body's doing, it is right action. It's not wrong action. If you raise a fever and your sinuses are throbbing and pouring out all of this mucus, if you have a headache, if you have anything that's going on in the body is right action, anything the body is doing. And so I said, I say to people, are you assuming the body is not responding correctly to the set of circumstances within which it has found itself? And this is really what you have to understand, is what the body's doing is right action. The body is doing its best under the circumstances. And so the primary thing is we must realize toxemia is the disease or the cause of disease. And to remove a toxemic state, we must identify and remove the causes. Because if you keep doing the things that are making you sick, you will never get well. And it doesn't matter what is thrown at you from whether it's Chinese herbalism, Ayurvedic medicine, whatever, conventional medicine, pharmaceuticals. If you're still doing the things that are making you sick, you will never, ever affect a cure. And so that's, why Nature Cure, the first and foremost thing we do a diagnosis, identify what's going on, find out exactly why this person is sick. But
yes,
immunity as a concept is a really hard one for people to let go. It has absolutely been indoctrinated in us from the absolute beginning of our lives. It was for me. I didn't come to Nature Cure as a child. I came to Nature Cure in my mid-20s.
Yes.
And even for myself, if I think back, it still took me some time to really let go of the concept that whatever problem I might have had, that that the problem was because some sort of a germ infection. And if I think about the sort of problems I used to have, as a female, I used to get thrush regularly when I was a young woman, and would go to the doctor, and the doctor would give me some medication for it, and it would go away for a while, and then surely enough, in a few more months, it would be back again. So, and I would always think that this was some outside infection that had gotten hold there, and as can't remember the last time I had anything like that going on. Everything works beautifully well these days, and there's no surprise there, and it's not because 48 years of age, nearly 48, 3 weeks to go. At 48 weeks, 48 years of age.
Your age. Yeah,
I know. At four, absolutely. Nearly 50. To think about it, if you think logically, well, if immunity was real, one would think that I would have a lower level of immunity as a middle-aged woman than I would have as a 20-something-year-old woman. But that is not the case. And people say,
that's a great example.
And people also say about children, well, why do children get sick all the time? Why are they always having colds and flus? And let's look at it as what it is. Why are they so easily and so regularly raising fevers? Because that's what it is. They're raising, you stick a thermometer in any child's mouth when their nose starts to run and they're not having much energy and they lose their appetite. Stick a thermometer in their mouth. You'll nail it. They've got a fever, and we know exactly how to successfully treat a fever. Why are they raising fevers so regularly, those children? It's vitality.
Because of the higher conserved
they have very high vitality. We're born with all of the vitality. We're born with our full quotient. And we run that quotient out as we get older. And so, as you so correctly pointed out in your beautiful message to me the other day when I was in bed and feeling terrible and running a good fever, you said to me, your question was, how are you doing this morning, vital lady? Bless you. Bless you. I had a little giggle. I thought that's very sweet, because it's true. I have good vitality, so I can raise a fever. And another interesting phenomenon of this whole concept of immunity is I have regularly in my life heard, this people talking, and they'll say, oh, such and such, John. Oh, John, he was never sick a day in his life. And then he got this pain, so he went to the doctor and had it checked out. And his body was full of cancer and he was dead within 6 weeks. And I have heard that kind of scenario. So very off, I had $1 for every time. And the fact of the matter is, well, if this person has got such high immunity and so healthy, they never get sick, why is it that all of a sudden this person is absolutely riddled with cancer and dead within a few weeks? It's because the person has had really low vitality for many, many years. There is not enough nerve force in the body to raise the fever. You've got to understand the fever is the healing process. The fever is the curative process. And
Absolutely.
if you have enough vitality, you will be able to raise a fever, and that is the mother of all house cleaning. You know, we're talking, I love it. It's so funny, you know, it's this buzzword, you know, a detox. I'm going on a detox. I'm going on a detox. Well, what are you doing? Well, I'm just having broth for 3 days and going on a detox. The fever is the detox. You know, everything else is just lip service. You know, the fever is the mother of all detoxes, and that's absolutely what you want your body to do. So you don't cure the cure.
So there should not be any special initiative to detoxification. Detoxification is a 24/7 happening.
Absolutely,
within our
and
body.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We need to get out of the way.
So last week what happened? Around a week back, I was taking a workshop for teachers in one of the schools in India.
Yes.
So it was a 2-day workshop, and we discussed a lot about nature cure, science and philosophy, and we had some experiential learning also, all those stuff. So people were really receiving that wholeheartedly. So after I came back, still a few of the teachers are in contact. They're asking a lot of questions and all this stuff. So one of the teachers raised fever. So he was saying that he started following nature cure recommendations wholeheartedly after the workshop was over. And within 3 days, he raised fever.
Excellent.
He raised fever. So he was worried. He was worried that why my immunity has gone so low to raise the fever. This kind of superstitious understanding of health that we suffer from, you know.
Absolutely.
So the reason is, with that 3 days of recommendation following, he raised fever because of the vitality conservation.
Absolutely.
The kind of vitality he could conserve, because of that only he raised the fever, because raising fever is not a joke. It's a lot of effort the body has to make.
Massive effort.
What do you say?
Absolutely. And this is the thing, people, you know, it takes a massive amount of nerve energy for the body to be able to heat itself up like that. And you must have that nerve energy available for the body to be able to do that. It's why this great mystery that the medical industry still can't work out. Why is it that people so often get sick when they go on holiday? It's this massive mystery. Well, we from Nature Cure can go, oh, that's an easy one. Why would people so readily raise a fever when they bring the pressure down when they rest? Oh, that's a big surprise. We have to work that one out. Of course, it's natural. Absolutely. And that's basically, people say, how am I going to get this fever? It's conserve your energy. And there's many ways we would do that, depending on the person, how chronic they were, etc., their lifestyle, their work level, etc. We can assist and direct people to move themselves towards the fever. But essentially, in a nutshell, it's just conservation of energy. When you conserve, you know, I say to people, all you've got is what's in you. That's it. There's no healing power in anything outside of the body. So all we're doing is managing the vitality of this organism. That's all, as you said before, Kalyan, Nature Cure is nothing more than the management of vitality. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
absolutely. So
Yeah,
we,
I see a
we're
lot
not
of people are
magicians.
joining. Viswajit, Yogendra. Yeah. So,
Welcome.
guys, we are open to the questions if you have any. So you can post on the questions. Still, we are
Yeah,
discussing about
yeah.
immunity, the superstition. We are talking about the fever a lot. Fever is a friend, not a foe. So
Not a foe.
that kind of understanding, yeah. So that kind of understanding, if you have, then you will start thinking that raising fever is not a lack of immunity or such kind of imaginary concept. It is a raising of the vitality conserved within you. So that kind of understanding is needed to maintain a wellness level. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, with Nature Cure, we teach people to work with the organism, not to suppress it, not to work against it, not to immediately think that whatever the body's doing is wrong, because that's really what, immunity is a brilliant concept, isn't it? Because if we can say to people that your immunity is low or your immunity is high, that's why you got sick, then we effectively take the responsibility for the state of health out of the hands of the suffering person. We can say to them, it's not your fault. It's nothing you've done. You've just been a poor unfortunate. You've come into contact with some bug and it's lodged itself in your system, and because your immunity's not strong enough, you've got sick. But don't worry, we've got the perfect thing to sell you to make it go away. Believe me, you don't want to make it go away. You do not want to suppress the organism in any way, shape or form. Absolutely.
Yeah, hi SP. SP also has joined. SP,
Hello.
good morning. Good morning.
Yep.
So this is the group that we run on Facebook, Nature Cure group. So you all are welcome to join this group, and we have a lot of discussions going on, and there are archived study materials by Kevin Hinton and a lot of other experts. So primarily it was Kevin Hinton's group. Right now I and Victoria are managing that. So you all are welcome to join this group for more knowledge about Nature Cure.
Nature Cure, wonderful. So yes. So I remember Katie Hinton saying to me not that long ago, she said to me, if there were two pieces of advice I could give anybody in relation to health, the first would be never take any drugs, either pharmaceutical or social. And she said, and the other piece of advice I could give you for health would be never suppress the fever. So they go hand in hand, absolutely. Never,
excellent.
Best
if somebody follows these two rules,
two things, absolutely, they'll be well ahead. Never suppress the fever. And people say, well, what suppresses a fever? Continuing to work when you're sick, continuing to eat when you're sick, continuing to go about your daily business, ignoring it, exercise, etc. Any medications, of course. Or if you're looking at it from the natural side, if you take high doses of vitamin C. When I was younger, when I was first starting to show an interest in alternate health, I've been there, I've done it all. And, when I used to raise fevers, I still believed that I'd caught something. And so instead of going to the doctor, by that stage I'd moved on from going to the doctor. I would go to the naturopath, and the naturopath would advise me to take, massive doses of vitamin C, garlic, and echinacea. And so that's what, anytime I had a flu, I'd be dosing up on all these things. And essentially, maybe not quite as harmful as a course of antibiotics to the organism, but still harmful because it still suppressed the organism. It still stopped the body. So what is the fever? The fever is the fever is heat. When we talk about fever, what's going on? The body's heating up. What is heat? Heat is a catalyst. It liquefies the waste. The heat of the fever liquefies the waste material, sends the waste material to the organs of elimination. And those organs of elimination are three. There's only three: the skin, the kidneys, the lungs.
In the lungs.
The colon is not an organ of elimination, as we so readily and often say. So that's why you need never worry when you have a fever if you stop passing stools, because it's not an organ of elimination. But when we have a fever, we'll notice that our skin we're sweaty, we're fetid. The skin is eliminating big time. Our breath is foul when we have a fever. Ask someone to put their tongue out when they have a fever. You'll see the coating on the tongue, and the breath is foul because the lungs are eliminating the gaseous waste material from the bloodstream big time. And then, of course, the kidneys. The kidneys are working overtime. It's so, people who are really toxemic, they quite often will get really painful kidneys when they're running a fever, because the kidneys are, just working big time. And you'll notice the urine. The urine is very pungent. The urine is very dark because it's, all the signs, all of the physiological signs of the organism when we have a fever is that the body is in a hypercycle of elimination and excretion. And so another thing to note, though, is that the body will use any and every orifice to offload the waste material. So I remember once when I had a fever, my eyes were pumping out this pussy, horrible gunk. And I remember waking up one morning and I couldn't actually open my eyes because this pus had glued my eyelids. My lashes were glued. I had to basically find my way to the bathroom and wash my eyes to be able to actually open them. So the body and the sinuses are a major area where the body's going to start to throw waste material out. When I had my fever a week or so ago, for the first 24 hours, it was pouring out of my sinuses. The vagina, the eye of the penis, the anus, the body will use, if there's a cut in the skin, and this is another thing, this is probably where we think about infections happening. I quite often get messages from clients. I actually got a message from we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and I looked a little bit distracted, and I said to her, look, Kalyan, I'm sorry, but a client has just contacted me, and they've been in an accident, and they're asking for my advice, and so my client, her daughter, who is also a client of mine, she contacted me. She said, oh, my daughter has just been in a really bad accident, and she's cut her shin open very deeply, and she's gone to the medical centre to get it stitched up, which is correct, but she said they're really putting the pressure on her to have the tetanus immunization, and they're saying if it got infected, she could lose her leg. They go to town on people. They put the fear, and I'll just quickly finish. But I said no tetanus shot, no nothing. And I said, and if it does weep, if it does show some pus, I said, well, that's good. Let it drain. Let it drain. Don't stop it from draining. And of course, nothing happened to the girl. She's healed up beautifully, and she's been surfing in Bali of late. So meanwhile,
many other people join. Many other people join. Srobon, my friend, has joined. Arvinder, also another friend, has joined. Hi, Prakash. Good morning.
Good morning.
So there is a question from SP. How to convince a doctor that high immunity is a myth when he has spent his whole life studying about the medicine and fighting with symptoms. And if he or she is very close to you, here ego plays a major role. They are not able to see the hidden side due to the study they have done.
Absolutely. My answer.
How to convince the doctor?
You're not going to be able to convince the doctor.
Why convince the doctor?
I remember, it reminds me of a couple of conversations with Kevin Hinton many years ago. The first thing I remember saying to Kevin Hinton, I said to him, you know what, I'm really, really frustrated. Doctors are supposed to be intelligent, and yet they, sell all these medications and so forth. They said, aren't these supposed to be smart people? I mean, you actually have to be quite intelligent to actually get in to study the medical degree, and you have to get high levels of in your scores at high school before you can get into the medical degree. And Kevin Hinton said to me, oh, now Victoria, he said, don't fool yourself. He said, I've never met an intelligent doctor in my life. And I went, oh, that's a bit offensive. He said, well, no. He said, you've got to think it this way. He said, they were intelligent people, and they went to university for 6 years, and they got educated to not think for themselves. They got educated that this is the symptom and this is the drug that makes that symptom go away. They are taught medicine. They are not taught health. And they are indoctrinated into this philosophy, and by the time they finish, even if they're just a basic general practitioner, by 6 years of this philosophy being absolutely nailed into them, and then that's their profession, that's how they make their living. There will be no desire, no drive, no impetus for them whatsoever to think anyway else. And we tend not to, we don't get into the arena. We don't step up to a medical doctor and say, everything you're thinking is wrong and your philosophies are wrong. Because, I always remember Kevin also saying, the very difficult conversation that people have. It's a very emotional conversation about whether the practice of immunisation and vaccinations, the debate there. In Australia now, we cannot have a civilised, educated discussion on vaccination. If you are anti-vaccination, you are labelled as a lunatic, a loop, an idiot, an uneducated, barefoot hippie, fringe dweller, if you for 1 minute challenge the concept of vaccination. So, I remember Kevin Hinton saying to me, don't even get into the arena, because for every argument we have, they'll have us study, they'll come up with something and they'll show you, well, this study, when we started giving this type of drug or that, this particular disease, it's just suppression. And they can't see past it.
Yeah.
So to try and educate a doctor that they're wrong, I would say save your energy, because you're not going to be able to.
So here is a catch, Victoria. My short experience with Nature Cure teaching, if I may say, or learning, because teaching is learning for me, to be specific.
Yes.
So there are few, not many. There are few medicine doctors. They have taken my courses.
Yes.
And they are completely now in sync with the Nature Cure philosophy, and they are trying to actually come in sync in their practices also. They are encouraging people to not to take medicine and sync themselves with the nature as much as possible.
Yes.
So it's about, if I may answer SP, that if it is about the eye-opening of the doctors, and that should come from the scratch.
Yes.
And being unconditioned, if after a little bit of unlearning, if they understand this basic simple science, then definitely there will be shift in their understanding. And I perceive medical science as a facility. If somebody offers this facility for some reason, which is absolutely fine, but let's not call that as cure, because suppression could be an option out of some perceived emergency of your life. But please don't call that suppression as a cure. And that is what is our next topic also, next live topic we decided yesterday, I think. Victoria,
suppression is suppression.
Suppression. Let's call suppression.
We call it suppression. Suppression is the topic next.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So another question from Arvinder. Arvinder asked that my close friend has had a fall. Tibia bone was dislocated. Doctor saying surgery, put rod. Can it heal otherwise? Your take, Victoria.
Well, I think you'd have to be able to. I mean, obviously the doctors would have the X-ray of it, and but at the end of the day, a a bone is going to heal itself naturally, but the bone must be in alignment to do that. And I actually have a personal experience in this kind of area. A couple of years ago, my husband was riding his mountain bike with a few friends, and he came off his mountain bike at high speed going downhill, and he went headfirst into the hard rock of the mountain. And so we took him to the hospital, and because first and foremost, you've got to see what's going on there. Like, I didn't, are there any breakages here? So he broke his fourth thoracic vertebrae, and he was in the hospital, and the orthopedic doctor came in, and he said to us, well, the treatment that we are most highly opting for is to fly you down, because we're in a bit of a regional area, fly you down to Brisbane and operate on the vertebra and fuse the vertebra. And my alarm bells just went crazy. I just said, what do you mean by fuse the vertebrae? And they said, well, what we'll do is we'll get a screw, and we'll screw from the T5 vertebrae up into the fourth thoracic vertebrae, and another screw, and we'll screw down from the T3 thoracic vertebrae, and that will, because the fracture was an unstable fracture, and that was the thing they were most concerned about. And I said to them, so is that your only option? And they said, well, he said, the other option is that we could put an external brace on your husband, and he could wear that brace for about 6 weeks to try and keep the spine completely stable whilst the vertebrae heals. I said, because of course his body is already healing this vertebrae, is it not? And he said, oh yes, it's already, of course the healing process has already begun. So I said, no problems. I said, we'll discuss this between us. And they said, yes, but it's all very iffy and blah, we don't really like the idea of using the brace. And so the doctor went out of the room, and I said to my husband, I said, if you have that surgery, I said, you'll never be out of pain for the rest of your life. We do not want to put an implant into the body unless it's absolutely unavoidable. So this person with the broken tibia, is there absolutely no other option? I mean, surely this bone can be set. I mean, but I guess it all depends on, I don't know the break. I haven't seen it, how many pieces are shattered, etc. But the body, the body will set about healing bone tissue, any kind of tissue straight away. And so with my husband, we had to actually be very, very forceful. My husband said, I'm not having the surgery. I am having the brace, and I will not accept anything. And so we had to be quite stern with them and tell them what we were having. And so he opted for the brace, and surprise of all surprises, his spine healed beautifully. And now he lives quite normally. So, but that wouldn't be the case if he had 2 screws in his spine.
Right. So Arvinder is answering that it's a one-piece broken kind of case.
Well, I mean, again, I don't like to step into the domain so much, but I cannot see how, if the doctors are proficient at what, if these are orthopedic doctors and they set bones all the time, why I don't know how old the person is, I don't know what state of health they're in, etc. So I don't know if the person has any like osteoarthritis or anything going on, but I do not see why it couldn't just be set.
Right. So what I basically understand here, that the client must be specifically analyzed by a nature cure practitioner to go ahead with the natural healing process and all those stuff, whether the pieces to be joined together and mechanically supported for the healing process and all those stuff. So
Yes.
one must have an expert at hand to try this out. Other than that, I'd request Arvinder not to propose anything natural. If you don't have any access to the nature cure practitioner, let them decide themselves in terms of the accident management. Right? Normal lifestyle disease, you can bring that person under the understanding of nature cure and all those stuff. But accident is an emergency as perceived by the individual. If you don't have any access to the nature cure support, then let them go ahead with their level of understanding what they have currently.
But one thing I would advise Aravinda is get a second opinion.
Yes.
Absolutely, go and get a second opinion.
Before
See
putting
it.
the rod.
Absolutely.
Before putting the rod.
You know,
And
the
you
rod
must
would.
converse.
Yeah.
You must converse with the doctor that
Yes.
will there be
Yeah.
any other option like Victoria
Yeah.
shared.
Absolutely.
So
I know.
yeah.
You know, if I hadn't known, if I wasn't who I was and didn't know what I knew, and we were just a normal couple in that hospital room that day, my husband would have come home with 2 screws in his spine, without doubt, because they were filling our head.
Very much.
Yeah, they were filling our head full of all sorts of fear of what would happen if the vertebra, you know, healed in the wrong position, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, he's got a perfectly good spine. I mean, once you have a breakage, there's always going to be a bit of a weakness there, but he's doing very fine now.
They have taken three opinions, they're saying, and the recommendation is rod. From all the doctors, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately.
So let them go ahead with their current state of understanding.
Yes.
But keep on proposing that there are other options available also. That's it. Yeah. So Victoria, I see your video frozen.
Yes.
Maybe,
it's come back.
Maybe the.
Are you back? I'm back.
Yeah, it has come back.
Yes,
it has come back.
Good.
It has come back.
I was thinking, oh, don't do this again. We had a problem last time with that.
Yeah. This time it's a single session so far. Last time we had to split it into three parts. Right.
Absolutely, that was annoying.
So, it's already around 45 minutes
that we've been chatting
in the session. So we plan to make it as shorter as possible so that the recording, those who are watching, it's not a too long, boring conversation.
Absolutely.
So we'll keep on coming again and again, raising many topics of natural health and healing. And please don't hesitate us to contact.
If anybody's got a particular topic that they'd like us to have a chat about, email either myself or Kalyan. If you go to my website, which is www.moranpurenaturopathy.com, you'll see my contacts there. And Solution
and Facebook profiles are already there.
All there.
We are not very much marketing people. Those who have proper CTAs proposing.
We're easy to get a hold of. So if you want to, if you come up with some good topic for us to have a chat about, please let us know. We'll include it in the schedule.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So thanks a lot, guys, for attending
today.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, Victoria.
Goodbye, Kalyan. It's been a lovely chat. And if anybody has any questions post this, just put them on the Facebook page and we'll do our best to answer them.
And try and join our group, facebook.com/NatureCure group. You'll find the group.
NatureCure,
so
absolutely.
That group will have a lot of activities there.
Yes.
So, bye then.
Take care. Have a lovely day.